Hello people, here we are. Right, certainly the last class of the year, I think so, because I'm not sure we will have the capacity to do some more. As next week will be a busy week for me, and I think we've worked quite regularly and fully this year, so I think it's better if we just stop today. With this final history class for this year of second, and it's a pleasure still having a few of you connecting in spite of this exceedingly high temperature for today. So I hope I won't be too boring, because I know that hello all of you. I know it's always a tough thing, right? Just to focus when you're under such temperatures. Anyway, we're not here to discuss the weather. We're more here to discuss the question of hello everyone. How are you doing? We're just here to discuss what is going to be, as I've told you. Hello. Normally, I have two more parts to go. One is about the American Revolution and its effects, and it's the one I'm going to deal with today. I'm going to say you, let's call it the basic facts about the American Revolution, why it was a revolution against the United Kingdom, why it was a revolution against absolutism, why it was a revolution to gain more freedom, and this has given the US the nickname of being the land of freedom, and there's a reason for this, and that dates back to the American Revolution. We also see that this revolution created a new republic, and this republic inaugurated democratic institutions with a balance of powers between a president, a House of Representatives, the legislative branch, and a justice system. And eventually we'll see that it also had some influence on France, because during the War of Independence for the USA, France was on the side of the Americans and against the British. And this is one reason why on a long term, on a middle term actually, American ideas influenced the French revolutionaries. Okay? Normally, hello everybody. Happy to see you. Normally we have one last, not chapter, but one last paragraph to study. L'absolutisme en France. Actually, all history and geography teachers in Lycée Jean Zay, all of them, have more or less agreed on the fact that at the beginning of next year, and I'm sure it's going to be the same in all high schools in France, we will, before we start teaching the French Revolution, we'll go back to the roots of the French Revolution and to the roots of why absolutism was challenged in France. So with all this in mind, and with the fact that many of you will go to the international section, and my colleague Monsieur Heropoulos will teach the lesson about the French Revolution, I can guarantee you that you will have a lot about what absolute monarchy was and what the French society before the revolution was, and so on. So what I propose you to do for today is focus on the second part. I won't conclude the last one, because the last one is actually going to be revised at the beginning of next year. So I think it's more it will be more efficient, pedagogically speaking, if you study this in early September than right now on the 25th of June with 33 degrees outside. I'm actually very lucky. I've got a fan just next to me bringing some fresh air, so I hope you're not too, like crushed by warmth and so on. So today let's talk about America. Let's talk about the American Revolution. I think I may use only 1 hour to do that. I hope I will be able to hold this in 1 hour. I can be a bit talkative sometimes and give too much detail, but I hope I will focus on my main task for today. Okay, so we are studying part 2. Okay, we have studied the British monarchy. We have studied the British monarchy and how the British monarchy has a history of being a long construction of a parliamentary system since the Great Charter. And then some kings in England, especially Catholic kings, tried to make it more absolute and absolutist. This created two revolutions. One in 1649 when King Charles was beheaded, and another one which is called the Glorious Revolution. And that led to the British monarchy becoming a model for France. If you remember, we read something by Voltaire saying that the British had found a good form of monarchy. And so now we're going to the second part. It is the third part I want to teach you this year, and that will be the starting point of next year. Okay, a reminder of what an absolute monarchy in France was, and so on. Okay, have I answered your question? I hope so. Okay, so let's see why at some moment in the 1760s and 1770s, some colonies established by English and Scottish settlers declared independence from the United Kingdom. Okay? And one reason for this was that the British living in America felt less and less connected to England, but also more and more entangled, more and more disturbed, more and more threatened by the control the British monarchy was trying to put on them. Okay? This led to a declaration of independence, which led to a war that lasted for 7 years, the War of Independence, and a new constitution, which was a democratic constitution. And finally, in the third part, we see how the American Revolution and the American independence influenced some French thinkers and revolutionaries. Okay? Right? Good. Just checking if there's any question. Apparently, there's no question, so that's perfect. Okay. Good. Let's start from the origin. And the origin is, The origin is there. So sorry, it's a French map, but actually I was looking for a... you will see that at some moment in this lesson I will switch to French because I have included some French documents. So especially when we talk about Lafayette, for example, or when we talk about la séparation des pouvoirs, they will be in French for some reasons. But so that's a map in French, and what you see here is what we call the original colonies, or 13 colonies. Okay? These 13 colonies belonged to a large empire that the British had built in the previous centuries and decades. Okay? In the previous centuries and decade, if you remember, I'm just showing you a map. There had been the development, you remember, of all these how can I say this? Explorations, okay, and discoveries, and little by little, there was a larger connection between the European countries and colonies. And so, sorry, I'm just looking for the proper map. It's there. I'm not sure it's good quality, but okay. It's very poor quality. Anyway, it might be sufficient for us. Okay, sorry for the very poor quality. As you can see, the British Empire was not only in America. Okay, you could see that the largest part of the British Empire in 1763 was in North America, would correspond to a major part of Canada today, and the US. You also had some islands in the Caribbean, like the Bahamas, for example, Barbados. You had Gibraltar, you had places along the coast of Africa, you had places in India, you had places in Bengal, you had places in the Philippines. And very soon after, there would be Australia too. So the UK had a world empire. But as you can see, at that time, at the end of the 18th century, the major British territory outside Europe was in America, in North America. Okay? What does it look like when we actually zoom in? These colonies were founded had been founded since the 16th century and even more in the 17th century. There were 13 of them. Okay, so you can see the name: New Hampshire, New York, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, Carolinas, 2 of them, and Georgia. Just to have a look at this, the very fact you've got New York or New Jersey reminds the British origin of this. The fact that you've got Virginia, that's referring to Mary Stuart, Virgin Queen of Scots, or Caroline, which is a reference to Charles, or George, which is a reference to the monarchy in England. That proves Virginia, Carolina, Georgia, that these colonies were founded by British settlers that were respecting the monarchy. Okay. Yes, I've seen your question. There is also current Jamaica. Absolutely. All this part of the world was called the West Indies. The West Indies, les Indes occidentales. Not to be confused with India, but West Indies. Absolutely, you're right, Paul Tréant. So, very interestingly, not all of these places had been British before. And this is the proof. As you can see, originally, the British part was really on the eastern coast. On the eastern coast with Boston, founded in 1630, with New York, founded a few years before, with Baltimore, which was founded rather recently in 1729. And if you look at the rest of the country, it was French. It used to be French. All the blue remained French until 1763. And the Treaty of Paris, right? In the Treaty of Paris in 1763, France lost all their territories. In a war against the British. Okay? Is that clear for you? So before there was an American independence, you had the colonies, like New Jersey, all the colonies on the eastern coast. Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and the colonies being called Pennsylvania, Delaware, and so on. The ones we've just seen here. Okay? But at the beginning of the 1760s, between 1756 and 1763, there was the 7 Years' War, which was a French-British war, a Franco-British war. The French lost. The French lost. Okay. And this is why Louisiana was called Louisiana, because it's referring to Louis, the King of France. But it had a consequence on the British colonies anyway, because as these British colonies were the place from which the British would attack the French, these colonies got much stronger. They received a lot of investments by the British. They proved to be absolutely necessary to the British crown. Okay, yeah, absolutely. The 13 colonies are the one that you can see on the Stars and Stripes. The Stars and Stripes, or Star Spangled Banner, being the US flag. And the stripes, the stars represent the states, and the stripes represent the original colonies. Absolutely. So, what happened? It happened that these colonies really got strengthened. They really got strengthened by the 7 Years' War between the British and the French. And they felt, the people, the colonists, the people who were living in the colonies, they felt that maybe they didn't need England that much. And that what they felt from the British presence was more oppression. They felt oppressed by the British monarchy. Okay? They felt oppressed by the British monarchy. Why did they feel oppressed by the British monarchy? There were several reasons, but that's one of them. This document is a painting dating back to 1770. Actually, it shows, so just one thing, I don't know if you can read the name at the bottom of the picture, right? You can see engraved and printed to solve by Paul Revere. And Paul Revere was one of the leaders of American citizens of, what would become American citizens that rebelled against the British. And what you can see here, so on the left, on the right hand side, you've got the British soldiers. Okay, on the right hand side, my bad. Okay, easier like this. On the right hand side, I'm sorry for this. Okay, perfect. You've got the British soldiers, and you can see them shooting at the crowd. Who's the crowd? The crowd, it's on the left-hand side, and the crowd is a bunch of people from Boston. So I'm just showing you on the map, okay? You can see Boston, which is a city in Massachusetts, right? Why were these people demonstrating? The demonstration killed 7 people because they thought the British crown was demanding too many taxes from them. That the British crown, the British monarch, was collecting too many taxes. And if you remember, collecting taxes in the UK is not something the king should do. It's something the parliament should do. It's something the Houses of Commons, for example, should do. It's something that people who were elected should do. But America was not the UK. America was a colony. So to say it simply, I'm sorry, I'm not getting too much into detail, but to say it simply, as America, as the 13 colonies of America were colonies, the situation was different. The king, the monarchs, were able to collect more taxes. And that was due to the fact that there were products that were produced in America only. Sugar, for example. Sugar was produced in the Caribbean. And even when the Americans wanted to buy sugar, they had to pay high taxes to the British Crown to have access to sugar. Let me show you another document. It's a website. I've not made a copy. It's just a website. So there's going to be the traditional hesitation moment. Right. And, sorry, it's there. Yeah, I was looking for the one. Okay, look at this. It's a timeline. It's a timeline, okay, of major dates which are supposed to explain why there was the American Revolution and why the Americans decided to declare independence from the United Kingdom. And many historians and many specialists of the American history, they said that it started with a rejection of new taxes. One of the most famous is called the Sugar Act. And if you look at this, you can read it right. Just that the Parliament of the United Kingdom, the Parliament of England, passed the first law specifically aimed at raising colonial money for the Crown. What does that mean? It meant that if the British living in America wanted to import sugar, even if it was not imported from abroad, because it was imported from another British colony, maybe Jamaica, maybe the Barbados, maybe, okay? Then the American colonists would have to pay taxes to the British king or queen. So it means that the British king would put a tax on any type of trade between America and the rest of the world. I give you another one. There was the Currency Act. People in America couldn't have their own money, their own currency. They had to use the British one. Then look at this, new act, the Stamp Act, another tax. Okay, another tax. And then I'm not going to show you all the dates, but taxes went on. There were more taxes raised by the British Crown in America. And look at this. That's very important. In 1769, in a state called Virginia, the American decided that only the governor of Virginia and the Parliament of Virginia could raise taxes in America. What does that mean? What does that mean? I'm back to explain it to you. What does that mean? And the picture you have of the Boston Massacre is a consequence of this. American, or British Americans if you prefer, the colonizers who were living in America, they say, we do not accept to be taxed by the British King and the British Parliament, because the British King and the British Parliament does not represent us. Only us and our own Parliament can raise taxes, because that's the way it must be in the system. Citizens have to decide for their taxes. And so they started demonstrating. And when they demonstrated to gain the right to not to be taxed by the crown, this is what happened. The Boston Massacre. And so very soon, the situations between the British monarchy and the American settlers degraded very, very fast. And it degraded to the point of insurgency, rebellion, and even more than this, the 13 colonies declaring independence from the British. But what is interesting for us, I mean, it could take us 20 hours to study the history of the US Revolution, and I swear I really would like to have much more time to study this. What is interesting is how the Americans justified their independence. Look at the text. If I can project it, it might work much better. Maybe it's because we're talking about America, but I can feel my American accent trying to come back. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just looking for, is it US Declaration? Yeah, it should be here. Sorry, my bad. I'm really sorry for this. Okay, we go. So Jews, violent demonstration or a peaceful one, take care. Pacific is the ocean. Pacific is the ocean. You should say peaceful. In the beginning, there were peaceful demonstrations, just citizens, or at that time they were not citizens, they were just colonists, but, you know, gathering and having a mass demonstration, but they didn't have weapons. Little by little, when they saw that the British army was trying to repress these demonstrations, weapons started to appear. But actually, in the beginning, they were not violent demonstrations. They were just protest against the British, okay? And then, that's the turning point. One of the turning points. On the 4th, that's a date you may know, on the 4th of July, 1776, on the 4th of July 1776, the colonies declared independence. But what is quite interesting is the way it was justified. And we're going to read this, and you will see that the way it was justified is very similar to the English Bill of Rights. If you remember the Bill of Rights in 1689 is when the British told their new king, William of Orange, this is what you are allowed to do, this is what you are not allowed to do. You will see that the Americans would use most of the same arguments to explain why they wanted to break with the British crown. Let's read this. So firstly, they were gathered in Congress. That means it was a global, a common gathering. I'm sorry, I'm just having a glass of water because it's hot in there. I'm sorry for this. So, we hold this, maybe I should show my face anyway here. We hold this truth, I've skipped a paragraph, okay. We hold this truth, we congressmen of America, we hold this truth to be self-evident. It's obvious that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator. The Creator give us specific unalienable rights, rights that will always belong to us. This is what unalienable means. You can never take them away from someone. These are rights being given forever and ever. That among these are life, everybody is the master of their own life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I love this one because of course it means that life for itself is nothing. People do not live to live, they live to be happy. And that's a right we have as humans. That to secure these rights, to make sure these rights will be respected, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. What does that mean? Only those who are governed can choose their government. Only those who are governed can choose their government. What does that mean? Absolute monarchy cannot exist. Because in absolute monarchy, people do not choose. People do not choose who governs them. God does. But God created all men equal, and that means that all men should be able to stand for their form of government. It is the right of the people to alter or to abolish a government becoming destructive and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its power in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Sorry, I'm just rephrasing it in very clear and straightforward words. People, the citizens, should be able to choose for their own form of government. And this is the only way that citizens will be able to have life secured, liberty secured, and the pursuit of happiness possible. When a long train of abuses by the king and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, and this is designed to reduce them under absolute despotism. Absolute despotism, that's the King of England, from the American point of view. It is the right of the citizen, it is their duty to throw off, to get rid of, to wipe out such government, and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpation, or having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over the state. We Americans are breaking with England because the King of England is a tyrant, because the King of England is a despot, because the King of England is an absolute monarch, and we reject this because this is not the proper form of government. The proper form of government is when people can choose whomever they want to represent them and govern for them fairly, justly, regarding justice. Okay? Absolutely. It looks a lot like many statements, many references that the French Revolution will readapt. For example, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. That absolutely refers to the French Declaration of Rights. Absolutely. Les hommes naissent et demeurent libres et égaux en droit. That's the French version. Les hommes naissent et demeurent libres et égaux en droit. All men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Absolutely. What you don't have in the French version is you don't have God. You don't have le Créateur. But apart from this, when you're born, you have rights. When you're born, you have rights. And these rights cannot be taken away from you. And among these rights, there is liberty. And there is a capacity to choose your form of government, to be freely governed by people you have chosen. And not by people who inherited the power from previous ancestors and God. So, what did they reproach the king with? He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states. He has obstructing the law for naturalization of foreigners. He has obstructed the administration of justice. He has kept a standing army without the consent of our representatives. Okay, so he has broken the rules of good government, the King of England. So, therefore, as a consequence, the representative of the United States of America in General Congress assemble, appealing to the supreme judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions to, in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, we publish and declare that these united colonies are to be free and independent states. They can levy a war, they can conclude peace, they can contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all the things that independent states can do. If you want a summary, a brief one to make things clear in your mind, you can write the following. On the 4th of July 1776. I will answer your question, Lucille, immediately. It is a secular country. I'm going to explain right now, okay? I swear I will answer your question, which is a fundamental question. So, on the 4th of July 1776, American colonies, the 13 colonies, American colonies broke their links with the British monarch. They broke their links with the British monarch for three reasons. For mostly three reasons. There were many more. But for mostly three reasons. Reason number one, too many taxes not decided by the American people, but by the British power. So, firstly, too many taxes not created by the American people, by the American representatives, the elected people of America, but decided by the British power. So, taxes imposed on the citizens. Secondly, the laws in America were mostly laws passed by the British king or British Parliament, by the British king or British Parliament, without letting the Americans decide. Okay, so many laws coming from the UK, especially passed by the British Parliament and approved by the King of England, but not taking into account the American representatives, the American will. Thirdly, there was another reason. In 1776, many people living in America had never seen England. They were the children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren of the first colonizers, of the first settlers. And it means that many people in America had lost their feeling of being British. They felt from America much more than they felt British. And what does that mean? It meant that every time there was a new tax or a new decision by the British king, they considered that this new tax or this new law was not regarding their own interest. That it was taken very far away by someone they had never met, but in a country where they would never go, which was becoming more and more foreign and strange to them. Okay? And that led to a declaration of independence, which was also a declaration of rights. We have the right to be free. We have the right to be free. Lucille, to answer your question, yes, the USA is a secular country. Okay? But there are many references to God, but it can be whatever god or goddess or deity people want. It's not the Christian God, nor the Muslim, nor the Jewish, nor the... put whatever name you want on it. You are allowed not to believe in God. You are allowed to believe in God, whatever God it is. Okay. So it's a secular country because the people who rule over America are not religious people. And they can be from any religion, or they may be of no religion. That won't change a thing. It happens that there has always been Christian presidents in the USA because the majority of people in America, and in the USA specifically, are Christians. That's the reason why. But tomorrow you may have a Muslim president, you may have a Buddhist president, you may have an atheist president, you may have someone who believes in 20 different gods. That wouldn't change a thing for the US institutions. So yes, it is a laïc country or secular country. That's true. Yeah, in God we trust, but you know, in God we trust, it's only from the Cold War. It's dating back to the 1950s. You didn't have in God we trust before on the US banknote. It's very recent actually. And it was because it was the Cold War. And during the Cold War, they were fighting communism, which was a godless ideology. Communism has no God. Okay, communism is against religion to some extent. And so the USA, to tell their difference, to mark their difference in the Cold War, they decided to reintegrate God in their mottos and political symbols. This is why you've got in God we trust. But once again, it can be whatever God. It's your God. It's not the God in the Bible. It's not the God in the Quran. It's not the God in Buddhist philosophy. It's any God. And could be no God. If your God is no God, so in no God you trust. And that's fine also in the USA. Okay? Right? Guess what? I have to accelerate because my time is already almost up. I'm sorry for this. I should have concluded the second part already. It's only the first one. Guess what? The British refused. Yeah, I'm sure you're surprised. The British refused independence. And they started a war against the Americans. The Americans were now called the insurgents, the rebels. And it took them 7 years. It took them 7 years, 7 more years, before they would finally obtain independence. And this is, look at this. This is how it was because the Americans won the war with a massive support by the French that I will discuss in part 3. So now we agree on the fact we are in part 2. We're in part 2, which is... sorry, my bad. Okay. The 13th, so the American Revolution, they have declared independence, and now we're going to see that they founded a new republic. After the war against the British, they founded a new republic which had democratic institutions. Sorry, some more water. As you can see, I'm being quite corporate because I'm using this, you know, corporate things to have my water. So, anyway, right. Look at this. Not only did the 13 colonies win the war, not only did the 13 colonies lead the war, win the war, they won the war. They actually enlarged the American territory by gaining more territory from the British, and that corresponds to the most eastern parts, the one that goes to, as you can see, in the north, Wisconsin or Illinois, and in the south more Tennessee and Mississippi, right, and Louisiana and western Florida too. Okay, so now there was a new state. Yes, Jules, you're right. The British were supposed to accept pluralism with the Bill of Rights in England, not in their colonies. And this is exactly, your question is quite interesting because this is exactly what the Americans told the British. Hey, we've got the Bill of Rights, guys. Why wouldn't you accept the Bill of Rights for us? And the answer was, you're not British. You're colonies. The very fact that you are colonies and not the United Kingdom itself gives a specific standard for you, which is the king should be able to control you. The crown should be able to control you directly. So the Bill of Rights, the Americans wanted it to be respected, but the British king said, oh, that's the colonies. It's a different, different matter. That's why. After winning the war in 1783, the next step was, now that we've gotten rid of the British crown, now that we've gotten rid of the British monarchy, now that we've gotten rid of the tyranny of the British king, what kind of regime should we establish? And the regime which was established following a conception, a philosophical conception, which was developed by two philosophers, a British one and a French one, which is called, in American, the checks and balances. In French, we call this la séparation des pouvoirs. I'm going to switch to French for 5 minutes. Je bascule donc en français. Alors, je précise tout de suite, les élèves qui ont fait le choix de la spécialité histoire, géographie, géopolitique, sciences politiques, des gens bien. Les autres aussi, bien sûr. Si jamais vous avez la malchance de me récupérer en plus en groupe de spécialité, en plus de m'avoir déjà en OIB, ce qui peut arriver, puisque j'aurai 2 groupes de spécialité HGJSP l'an prochain partagés avec ma collègue Madame Audouard, donc voilà, peut-être que je vais en voir un certain nombre d'entre vous en SP aussi, ce sera avec grand plaisir. On étudie ce texte-là, d'accord ? C'est dans le thème qui porte sur la démocratie. Et je l'ai mis en français parce que du coup c'est un texte que j'ai pris de mon cours de spécialité, je vais pas vous mentir, comme il est déjà très bien et très... Voilà. C'est simplement pour faire un tout petit point que vous avez peut-être fait en EMC aussi, j'en sais rien, c'est possible, notamment je pense que vous l'avez fait peut-être avec Monsieur Cazenave-Cambo, peut-être moins avec Monsieur Déré, j'en sais rien. La théorie de la séparation des pouvoirs, elle a donc été élaborée par 2 philosophe et penseur, un Britannique donc, John Locke, et un Français, Charles de Montesquieu. Que nous dit cette théorie de la séparation des pouvoirs? Eh bien, il y a plusieurs fonctions dans l'État. L'État, hein, c'est ce que l'État, on l'a vu l'autre jour pour ceux qu'on a accueillis avec M. Déré, c'est l'institution, c'est le corps dont se dote une société pour se préserver. Voilà. En gros, l'État, c'est ce qu'on crée pour organiser une société, éventuellement pour garantir sa sécurité. Et pour prendre des décisions de cette société. Et donc, nous disent Locke et Montesquieu, eh bien, il y a 3 fonctions principales dans l'État. Il y a 3 pouvoirs principaux dans l'État. Premier pouvoir, faire les règles générales. Édicter, donc c'est les 3 phrases en gras là, bold letters. La fonction d'édiction des règles générales. Alors, éditer les règles générales ou édicter les règles générales, ça veut juste dire écrire les règles. Quelles sont les règles qu'une société veut suivre? Ça s'appelle la fonction législative, faire la loi, qu'on appelle nous le pouvoir législatif si vous le souhaitez. La fonction législative, c'est à qui dans une société, à qui dans un État, on va dire il faut faire des lois, parce que évidemment la vie en société suppose des lois. Alors, sauf si vous êtes anarchiste et dans ces cas-là, vous dites il n'y a pas besoin de loi, ce dont il y a besoin c'est des contrats entre individus qu'ils vont respecter mutuellement. Hein. L'individu A et l'individu B vont se réunir en étant d'accord et vont dire voilà on va faire un contrat entre nous sur ce qu'on peut faire et pas faire. Mais comme le monde n'est pas anarchiste, il y a eu une construction d'État. Et c'est à l'État que revient cette fonction-là. Deuxièmement, une fois qu'on a fait les règles, une fois qu'on a établi les règles, le règlement intérieur du lycée, hein, typiquement, il faut quelqu'un maintenant pour que ces règles soient appliquées. C'est ce qu'on appelle le pouvoir exécutif. La capacité à faire exécuter la loi, exécuter les règles. Je donne toujours cet exemple, parce qu'il me paraît très clair. On considère que dans une société où il y a beaucoup de voitures qui roulent, il est dangereux que trop de voitures roulent trop vite. On est d'accord? Donc on va faire une règle. La règle, c'est la limitation de vitesse. Voilà. Donc ça, c'est le Parlement. Ou c'est la branche législative. Vous faites ce que vous voulez, mais en France, c'est le Parlement. C'est la branche législative. Bon, une fois qu'on a dit la règle, c'est 130 sur l'autoroute. Il faut quelqu'un pour vérifier que c'est 130 sur l'autoroute en vrai. Ça s'appelle la police, en fait. La police, c'est du pouvoir exécutif du ministère de l'Intérieur. Et ça, c'est le rôle de ce qu'on appelle la fonction exécutive. De la même manière, on décide qu'il faut des règles, tout le monde va à l'école. Tout le monde va à l'école jusqu'à 16 ans, ou tout le monde est éduqué jusqu'à 16 ans. Il faut des gens pour faire exécuter ça. On appelle ça les fonctionnaires de l'éducation nationale, en fait. Votre serviteur. Et puis enfin, troisièmement, que se passe-t-il si quelqu'un viole la règle, si quelqu'un brise la règle? Eh bien, il faut pouvoir juger, rendre la justice. C'est ce qu'on appelle la fonction juridictionnelle, ou pouvoir judiciaire. Sauf qu'à l'époque où écrivent Montesquieu et John Locke, ces trois pouvoirs sont souvent dans la main d'une seule et même personne, les monarques absolus. Donc je poursuis ma lecture. Partant du constat que dans le régime de la monarchie absolue, ces trois fonctions sont le plus souvent confondues et détenues par une seule et même personne, le roi, le monarque absolu de droit divin, le lieutenant de Dieu sur terre. La théorie de séparation des pouvoirs plaide pour que chacune des fonctions soit exercée par des organes distincts, indépendants les uns des autres. Un pouvoir législatif exercé par des assemblées représentatives, élues ou pas, représentatives des citoyens. Un pouvoir exécutif détenu par le chef de l'État et par les membres de son gouvernement. Et enfin, un pouvoir judiciaire qui revient aux juges, aux juridictions, aux tribunaux. L'objectif assigné par Montesquieu à cette théorie est d'aboutir à l'équilibre des différents pouvoirs. Pour qu'on ne puisse pas abuser du pouvoir, il faut, elle est belle cette phrase je trouve, il faut que le pouvoir arrête le pouvoir. C'est ce que les Américains, les États-Unis d'Amérique, ont créé. Cette théorie a fortement inspiré les rédacteurs de la Constitution américaine qui ont institué en 1787 un régime présidentielle organisée selon une séparation stricte des trois pouvoirs. Ce qu'on appelle checks and balances. Donc check, on vérifie ce que l'autre fait, et balances, s'il le faut, on rééquilibre. Je vais montrer un petit schéma tout de suite après. Afin d'éviter que chacun des pouvoirs n'abuse de ses prérogatives, que le pouvoir exécutif ait envie d'être plus que ça, que le pouvoir législatif ait envie d'être plus que ça, les rédacteurs de la Constitution américaine ont prévu un strict partage des compétences. Alors en plus, aux États-Unis, vous avez l'État fédéral et 50 États fédérés, c'est-à-dire chacun des membres de l'Union des États-Unis. Ils ont aussi réparti le pouvoir législatif entre deux assemblées, la Chambre des représentants et le Sénat. Ils ont donné au président un droit de veto sur les textes législatifs, etc., etc. Je vais vous montrer un schéma, c'est ce qu'il y a de plus simple. Ce qui est donc très intéressant ici, c'est que vous allez voir comment ça a basculé. John Locke est anglais au départ. C'est un anglais, John Locke. D'accord ? Mais évidemment, les colonisateurs américains ont lu, en tout cas ceux qui, pas tous, hein, le fermier de base, peut-être pas, on va pas exagérer non plus. Mais disons que beaucoup d'intellectuels, on va les appeler comme ça, beaucoup de penseurs, beaucoup de politiciens américains du XVIIIe siècle ont lu John Locke. Ils ont lu aussi Montesquieu, puisqu'on lit souvent le français aussi dans les milieux les plus éduqués. Bon. Et donc, ils vont se servir de ce qu'un Anglais et un Français qui vivent, eux, sous le régime de monarchie absolue, ils vont se servir de ça pour dire « Ah bah nous, c'est exactement ça qu'on veut faire. Nous, ce qu'on veut plus, c'est le roi d'Angleterre qui a tous les pouvoirs, ou dont on pense qu'il a tous les pouvoirs. Nous, on va faire une constitution qui fonctionne comme ça. » Mais résultat, quand il va y avoir la Révolution française, 2 ans après la Constitution américaine, 2 ans après seulement, et quand il va falloir réfléchir à qu'est-ce qu'on fait comme type de régime en France pour remplacer la monarchie absolue, bah on va aller voir ce que font les Américains. Notamment, et on va retrouver ce que faisait Montesquieu, c'est-à-dire la séparation des pouvoirs. Ok ? Alors, je vous montre concrètement ce que ça donne sur un petit schéma. Donc, voilà, hop. Je vais vous expliquer très rapidement. Or maybe I should switch back to, I'm sorry, I'm going to switch back to English because it's, the document is in English. I'm just looking if there are any question. No, apparently not. Okay. Actually, in the USA, you've got 3 branches of power. 3 branches of power. The legislative branch, to write the law, to ratify the treaties, to grant money, the taxes. But you've got an executive branch that can propose the law, to the legislative branch. Look at this, the legislative branch declares war. Only the legislative branch can vote the war, but the president is the one that commands armed forces. Once the war is declared, the president decides how to make war. But he cannot declare war. You see how it's balanced? Tomorrow, if Donald Trump wanted to declare war, he would need a vote by the Congress. And currently the Congress is Democratic in majority, so I'm not sure Donald Trump would have a majority to declare war. But once the Congress would have accepted war, then Donald Trump would have free hands to wage the war the way he wants to. What happens when there is a disagreement about a law? When the Congress has passed a law and not everyone is sure of how you should interpret the law and how you should understand the law, there is a Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court can say, okay, this is the law as it was passed. This is how the executive branch has interpreted the law. And this is how we think the law should be understood. So it means that for every law in the USA, you've got 3 different branches being active in this decision. Okay? Okay? So what has been the consequence of the US Declaration of Independence and their victory in the War of Independence? The USA has adopted a constitution which is the same today. It has just been transformed a bit, but that's basically the same constitution since 1787. The USA has kept its constitution since 1787 because they consider that this constitution is the best guarantee to protect the rights of the citizens, to protect the separation of powers, the checks and balances, to make sure that a president cannot take all the power, to make sure that the president is strong enough to govern but not too strong to keep power for himself. Okay? That's different, Paul Trégon. I'm talking about the USA declaring war. I'm talking about the USA declaring war alone. This is made through the House of the Congress and the President then. Now, if the United States want to have some allies, wants to wage the war with some allied countries, then they have to go to NATO or maybe they have to go to the United Nations. That's a different thing. If the USA alone want to declare war, want to start a war, the first requirement is having a law voted, a declaration of war voted by the Congress, the House of Representatives and the Senate. Okay? That's it. Right? So, a quite democratic constitution, and highly democratic institutions. And these democratic institutions, they have influenced France too. Why? Because there was plenty of contact. There was plenty of contact between the American revolutionaries and the French revolutionaries. Okay? And what I propose you to do, because it's already 33, is that I switch on to the last part, the effects of the American Revolution on France. And I'm just going to use one document to illustrate this. And I'm sorry for the poor quality of this. I'm very bad at this, right? As you can see, today I'm having difficulty to have correct images, but the reason for this is that my scanning machine is not working well. I just wanted to show you this. Sorry, that's something else I wanted to show you. Maybe it's an easier way for you to read the US Constitution. Sorry for this. Ah, my goodness. Okay. You see, that's another. It's a simplified version of the map, the mind map I've shown you. 3 branches of power and a separation of powers. Legislative, those who make the law, the Congress, Senate, and House of Representatives. The executive branch, the one that carries out the laws, the president, the vice president, the government. And finally, the judicial power that interprets the laws, the Supreme Court and all the courts of justice in America. Okay? Right, so now, why is there any relation to France in this? So sorry again for the poor quality of this document. So instead of scanning it, I had to just take a photo so you could see it. This is by certainly the most famous man that took part in the most famous Frenchman to take part in the American Revolution. And this is Marquis de Lafayette. If you go to the USA, there are plenty of places called Lafayette. I don't know if you know this, but the the square just in front of the White House in Washington is known as Lafayette Square. Okay, so why? Because Lafayette was a French noble. He was a Marquess, as you can see, Marquis de Lafayette. He was a Marquess sent by the King of France. And the reason why the King of France wanted the Americans to be supported is because they were fighting against the British, who were the arch enemy of France at that time. They were the uber enemy, okay, the hyper enemy of France at that time. So as you know, the popular motto, my enemy's enemies is my friend, okay? So the Americans were supported by the French just because it upset and it fragilized the British. Lafayette was one of them. So look at why he went to America to help the Americans win the war. Je repasse en français évidemment du coup, puisque c'est plus logique. J'appris les troubles américains. Ils ne furent bien connus en Europe qu'en 1776. Alors s'ils ne furent connus en Europe qu'en 1776, c'est qu'ils existaient d'avant. Et ce sont les fameux troubles avec les manifestations contre les taxes anglaises, etc. que je vous ai expliqué tout à l'heure. Et la mémorable déclaration du 4 juillet y parvint vers la fin de la même année. Donc il a fallu 6 mois aux Européens pour entendre parler globalement de la déclaration américaine. Et oui, autre temps et autre rapidité de la vitesse de circulation, autre vitesse de circulation des informations. Après s'être couverte de lauriers enrichis de conquêtes, après avoir maîtrisé toutes les mers et insulté toutes les nations, l'Angleterre avait tourné son orgueil contre ses propres colonies. Donc on voit très bien que ce qui motive Lafayette, c'est son rejet de l'Angleterre, qui a été insultante avec les autres nations, qui a été trop dominante. Depuis longtemps, l'Amérique du Nord lui faisait ombrage. Elle voulut joindre aux premières entraves des vexations nouvelles et envahir les privilèges les plus sacrés, ce qui est une manière pour Lafayette de dire s'en prendre aux libertés des citoyens américains, qui n'étaient pas encore américains, qui étaient des Anglais vivant dans les colonies américaines. Jamais si belle cause n'avait attiré l'attention des hommes. C'était le dernier combat de la liberté et sa défaite ne lui laissait ni asile ni espérance. Lafayette dit qu'il est allé se battre en Amérique avec les Américains, les futurs Américains, au nom de la liberté. C'est quand même très intéressant. Le type est marquis, hein. Il s'appelle Marquis de Lafayette. Donc il fait partie de la noblesse. Donc il fait partie d'un ordre privilégié en France. Il fait partie d'un ordre qui est évidemment le principal soutien de la monarchie. Mais il dit, je suis allé aux États-Unis pour me battre pour la cause de la liberté. Oppresseurs et opprimés, tous allaient recevoir une leçon. Ce grand ouvrage de la liberté devait s'élever, où les droits de l'humanité se perdraient sous ses ruines. Droits de l'humanité, les droits humains, human rights, les droits de l'homme. Les droits de l'homme, ils sont déjà là en fait. On n'a pas attendu 1789 pour parler de droits de l'homme. Un noble français en parle en 1783. À la première connaissance de cette querelle entre Américains et Anglais, mon cœur fut enrôlé, je ne songeais qu'à rejoindre mes drapeaux, en présentant à Mr. Dean. Donc Mr. Dean, c'est l'un des représentants envoyés en France par les insurgés américains pour que Louis XVI les aide. Et c'est ce qui va se passer. En présentant à Mr. Dean ma figure à peine âgée de 19 ans, je parlais plus de mon zèle que de mon expérience. Le secret de cette négociation et de mes préparatifs fut vraiment miraculeux. Famille, amis, ministres, espions français, espions anglais, tout fut aveuglé. Bref, Lafayette part aux États-Unis, il devient général. Il soutient les troupes américaines qui sont constituées de citoyens. Les soldats américains sont des citoyens américains qui ont pris les armes, remportent des victoires et aident les Américains à gagner la guerre. Quelles conséquences ? D'abord, vous le voyez, c'est que dans un texte écrit, dans ses mémoires écrits en 1783, Lafayette montre bien à quel point la France se posait déjà la question, en tout cas pas la France, des Français, y compris des nobles, se posaient déjà la question de la liberté, et notamment de qu'est-ce qu'on doit faire quand la liberté est menacée par un monarque absolu. Or, Louis XVI était un monarque absolu, d'accord ? Et puis, autre élément, la leçon américaine est une leçon pour tout le monde. Je reprends. ce grand ouvrage devait s'élever où les droits de l'humanité se perdraient sous ses ruines, c'est-à-dire que les Américains ne se battent pas que pour leur liberté, dit Lafayette, nous qui les avons aidés, et les Américains, nous nous sommes battus pour des droits qui dépassaient la question américaine, pour la défense de la liberté. Que va-t-il se passer une fois que les États-Unis sont une république en 1787 ? Eh bien, des Américains viennent en Europe. Et parmi ces Américains, il y en a un, que vous connaissez au moins de nom, car un lycée voisin d'une autre l'a choisi, il s'appelait Benjamin Franklin. Et Benjamin Franklin, il est américain, mais il va recevoir, à titre honorifique, le droit de siéger à l'Assemblée conventionnelle française. C'est-à-dire qu'un Américain est devenu à un moment un élu du peuple, a été participé au débat parlementaire français pendant la Révolution française, ce qui prouve bien quoi ? Ce qui prouve bien effectivement qu'il y a entre... c'est les Lumières, c'est l'époque des Lumières. Il y a entre les philosophes, entre les écrivains, entre une élite un peu cultivée, etc., des points communs qui sont des points communs anglais, français, américains, allemands, il y en a partout, disant, ce qui nous relie finalement, c'est cette nouvelle philosophie de la liberté. Et la liberté, c'est le rejet de quoi ? C'est le rejet de la monarchie absolue. Enfin, j'en parle maintenant, et en 1 minute, et je terminerai là-dessus. Il y a eu une autre conséquence majeure de la guerre américaine, c'est que comme les Français sont allés aider les Américains, ça leur a coûté beaucoup d'argent, et que ça a endetté l'État français, qui n'allait déjà pas très bien financièrement. Et que Louis XVI se retrouve donc à devoir trouver de nouvelles façons de financer l'État français. Et financer l'État français, c'est peut-être récolter plus d'impôts, plus de taxes. Sauf qu'en France, vous avez 2 catégories, 2 ordres qui ne payent pas d'impôts, la noblesse et le clergé. Et que tous les autres, qu'on appelle le tiers-État, disent « les impôts, stop. Stop. Nous, on ne peut plus. » Et une des causes profonde de la Révolution française, c'est que Louis XVI est obligé, parce que l'État français est en crise financière, à cause, en partie, pas seulement, mais en conséquence de la guerre d'Amérique, il est obligé de réunir ce qu'il appelle les États généraux. Et réunir les États généraux, c'est demander à des représentants des 3 ordres, est-ce que je peux lever de nouveaux impôts ? Et comme vous le savez sans doute, il va avoir une mauvaise surprise, c'est que les États généraux se réunissent et disent, alors maintenant, nous on est venus avec tout ce qui n'allait pas. Ça va pas, ça va pas, ça va pas, ça va pas. Et vous savez quoi ? On n'est plus les États généraux, nous sommes l'Assemblée nationale, nous sommes les représentants du peuple, et c'est le début, véritablement, de la Révolution française. Donc on voit bien le lien là aussi direct qui existe entre une question d'ordre financier, la France ruinée, la France financièrement affaiblie, notamment, pas uniquement, mais notamment par sa participation à la guerre américaine, qui lance une ère de réforme, et ces réformes vont aboutir à la Révolution. D'accord ? Voilà ce que je souhaitais vous dire aujourd'hui. Ta question, c'est qu'est-ce que ça a pu faire aux Américains d'être aidés par un monarque absolu contre un autre monarque lui aussi supposé absolu ? J'imagine que c'est ça ta question, Jules. Les ennemis de mes ennemis sont mes amis. Pendant la Seconde Guerre mondiale, les Britanniques et les Américains se battent au nom de la démocratie. Leur allié, c'est Staline. D'accord ? Voilà. Tu vois ce que je veux dire ? En 1914, la France se bat contre l'Allemagne au nom de la grandeur de la République française, machin. Ses alliés, c'est la monarchie britannique et c'est le tsar russe, qui n'est pas spécialement un démocrate ni un républicain. Les ennemis de mes ennemis, tout ça. Donc les ennemis des Britanniques, ce sont les Français. Les Français sont certes dirigés par un monarque absolu, mais c'est un monarque absolu qui file de l'argent et des hommes pour battre un autre monarque absolu, donc voilà. Et puis on sait que les Français vont pas rester après. C'est-à-dire que l'idée, c'est que les Français, ils vont pas imposer leur pouvoir en Amérique. Donc en soi, il n'y a pas de souci. D'accord ? Voilà. Eh bien écoutez, j'ai terminé. Alors, certes, pas le grand 3, mais je vous ai expliqué pourquoi, puisque ce sera le début de votre leçon de l'année prochaine. Voilà, j'ai terminé le programme de cette année, de ce que je pouvais en faire, qui était un programme long. J'ai zappé des trucs, hein, on n'a pas fait tout le programme. Il y a des choses que j'ai faites beaucoup plus rapidement. J'ai pas du tout parlé des Lumières en tant que telles. Voilà, j'ai rien fait sur les Lumières, j'ai rien fait sur l'humanisme, parce qu'on pouvait pas tout faire vu les circonstances. Je suis pas sûr qu'on aurait pu tout faire de toute façon, mais me connaissant. Mais là encore moins. Donc voilà, j'en ai terminé pour cette année. Alors, je me réjouis. Je me réjouis car je retrouverai l'immense majorité d'entre vous l'an prochain et j'en suis vraiment très sincèrement ravi. Hein. C'est pas juste une façon d'être d'être gentil. Voilà. Je suis très très content de vous retrouver l'an prochain. Je trouve que voilà, j'ai pris énormément de plaisir à travailler avec vous cette année et je suis ravi que ça se poursuive pendant 1 an, voire 2 ans. Merci à celles et ceux qui arrêtent la section mais qui ont joué le jeu. Voilà, je sais qu'il y en a peut-être au moins une peut-être derrière son écran. Alors si elle est encore là, je fais un coucou à Casey. Ça a été un plaisir. Je te souhaite le meilleur. Puis n'hésite pas à revenir nous donner des nouvelles. Hein. Voilà, normalement les autres, vous me dites, mais sauf info, je crois que les autres qui sont là aujourd'hui, vous êtes encore là l'an prochain. Donc ça devrait aller. On va se retrouver rapidement. C'est dans 2 mois. Donc voilà. Ok. Eh ben écoutez, merci à vous. Portez-vous bien, prenez des vraies vacances parce que même si on a eu une année avec un peu moins de lycée, on a tous besoin de vraiment se reposer. Faites attention à vous, soyez heureux, profitez bien et à très très bientôt. Jeunes gens, si